Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Trisha Swenson, right here at the base of Bridge Street in Vail Village. And we've got new snow in the forecast. We've got spring break going on. We've got tons of snow on the mountain for you to enjoy. So we're going to let you know all the different haps going on and off the mountain. So let's get it started. Vail Valley Live starts right now.
And good morning, everyone. As Tricia mentioned, Monday, March 20th. That's the thing that Rachel, who's directing, by the way, today, and I were just thinking about. I cannot believe how quickly the month of March is flying by. And as we move into April, more snow is in the forecast. And typically, March and April are a couple of our snowiest months, and that is holding true. We have had recent snow. We have snow in the forecast. Tricia and I will dive into those details as we know that weather and mountain reports, those are one of the most significant things that our viewers look for here on Vail Valley Live, and something that we all look forward to, especially when there's snow in the forecast. And I don't know if I'm holding this one accurate, Rachel. We'll see what happens, right? It says in the next 5 days that there's the potential that we'll have 17 inches of snow. And in the next 6 to 10 days, on top of that, another 7. So we're looking at 2 feet of snow maybe in the next 10 days. That would be great. Whether it be Vail or Beaver Creek, snow is in the forecast. And I can tell you, living down in Gypsum, waking up this morning, I was surprised when I went out there. It wasn't significantly snowing, but there were some light flakes coming down, and I quickly looked at my phone, checked out the forecast, and it looks like we could have some snow this afternoon, moving into tonight, and then lasting through tomorrow, and then another round of that coming in. So we'll get more into those details coming up, but I wanted to take it out to my colleague on the streets, Tricia Swenson. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, Good morning, Ken. You know what? Yeah, we've got the cloud cover out here, and then we could have the snow showers throughout today, but it looks like the bulk of this storm is really going to be when this winter weather advisory comes through 9 p.m. on Tuesday night to midnight on Wednesday night. And when you had that snow charge going up there, yeah, not much accumulation today, but then into tomorrow night and Wednesday is when we could see this. And Ken, we're really closing in on the 300-inch mark on Vail Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at like 297 as of
Correct.
Friday last week. So we're going to be surpassing 300 inches, which we did not do last year. So this is going to be good news for us. Yeah, 297. We're on that 74-inch base. And then I believe the Beeve, we're about around 278 or so as far as the snow totals, and around a 58-inch base. So I got out there yesterday, and beautiful day. We had the sunshine. It was chilly though this weekend. You woke up on especially Saturday morning, and the temperature was just barely above zero. And today, feeling really good. I think this cloud cover is providing an insulating layer. So it was about 23 when I drove in. So quite a difference from 0 degrees to 23 degrees
Nice.
right
And
now.
Tricia, you mentioned that you were out this past weekend yesterday. I was out of town. I was up in Montana. They've had great snow up there. And I mean, let's face it, out toward the Tahoe area, they're measuring it in stories, like how many stories high on your building is your snow. I mean, they've got, like 50 feet of snow in some areas. They can't even open the lifts. We're not quite there, but historically, this is probably one of the best seasons that I can remember in the 30 years of living here. I'm curious about the crowds this past week, and I know we had St. Patrick's Day. How busy was it, and where were you?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Well, yeah, St. Patrick's Day, we kind of have two groups overlapping. The spring break group from last week and then the new group that's coming in now. So I think there was a little bit of an overlap on Saturday, and especially Friday was still pretty busy. But yesterday wasn't too bad. Sundays typically aren't as busy. I didn't really have a line, but you know what? I was mostly over in Arrowhead and Bachelor Gulch. So I wasn't on Main Beaver Creek Mountain. But Beaver Creek usually doesn't have too much of a line. And I got to tell you, Ken, even Vail, I've been out on Vail even on the weekends, and I've hardly waited in a line, which is pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm
think
curious. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm wondering what happened. I mean, let's face it. A couple years ago, You know, we had the lines that you could see from outer space at times. It took as long to get on the lift as it did to take a run. I mean, you know, we've heard rumors a couple years ago that our lift lines and whatnot. I feel the same way this year. And I'm not just trying to stick up for Vail and Beaver Creek. It just seems like it's not as busy. You generally just ride right on the lift. I know that Vail put in the new chair lift back in Game Creek Chair 7, which is a 6-pack lift, and they've increased the uphill capacity. But in general, it doesn't feel like you've had those crowded moments like you have in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that 6-pack in Game Creek, I think that's been a big game changer. And then even the new Chair 17, the Sundown Express, just kind of taking the ease off of Chair 5, High Noon Express. You know, a lot of times that would get bogged down, but now you've got a choice of 2 lifts down there. So it's, yeah, I think I just really have not waited in many lift lines this year at all. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, it's great to see you. We've got an hour program coming up for our viewers. What can we expect from you out there today?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to be taking people up and down Bridge Street. I'm going to talk a little bit about tuning your skis, okay? Because it's that time of year when we get into the spring snow and we have the freeze-thaw cycles. So I'm going to give some ideas on how to really prep for what we're going to see with these warmer afternoons coming up this month and as we go into April.
Awesome. Well, great to see you, Tricia. We'll catch up with you in just a little bit. It is so important. I was actually thinking about the other day. I haven't had my stuff tuned since January, and the ski conditions have changed so much. So having the proper wax and a tune on there definitely makes your gear perform better. We have a lot going on. We'll have weather and mount reports. We're also going to have a bit of information on Michaela Schifrin, your Vail Daily update, and also how you can better take care of yourself here at altitude. You're watching Vail Valley Live. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Peggy Ziegler, fashion guru and stylist for the outlets at Silverthorne. I'm here to share with you an amazing place called the Colorado Welcome Center. We've got fabulous brochures on all the nearby places and towns and things to do right here while you're in Summit County and visiting the outlets at Silverthorne. And of course, pick up your Elite Savings Card booklet, offering you fabulous discounts and a rewards program too. See you soon.
Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery is kind of a one-stop shop. We have everything in-house.
We have cast techs, MRI machines, x-ray, of course, right at the clinic, physical therapy right at our clinic.
I'm going to get to the bottom of what your diagnosis is with all the resources we have, and that's what we do.
Welcome back to Vail Valley Live. Great to have you. We are here every morning at the Grand Hyatt. Trisha's out there roaming around from 7:30 to 8:30. Sometimes we go longer. That's the beauty of a web-based episode. But we not only like to bring you the snow reports, but also what made headlines locally in the Vail Daily. And a young lady that we've known for years growing up here in the Eagle River Valley is Michaela Schifrin. And she is all over the news, and for great reason. Her global domination making headlines. Michaela Schifrin closes the World Cup season with yet another win and 2 more records while claiming the slalom, giant slalom, and the overall titles. You can read more about this on page A3. The American not only set 2 more records with a season-ending giant slalom triumph, the 28-year-old Edwards resident was the top of the podium, just ahead of Norwegian Thea Louise Sternsberg. Awesome. Great to see. And Tricia and I could talk about this for hours. We've known Michaela growing up since she was a teenager doing Ski Club Vail. She is a lifelong local and a very popular young lady for good reason. It's great to see her growing up here and then representing the Eagle River Valley around the world. She's also doing it on a program for Outside Television, another web-based program. We'll have a look at that quickly, and when we come back, we'll see what else made headlines.
Yeah, when she can see, she's already having trouble. This is good. Street already in trouble. Oh my God! Unbelievable. Here's Michaela, Eileen.
times at the Olympics is not the worst thing that's happened to me in my life. So it's time to move forward now.
I can't wait to check that out. And I've got to bring Tricia Swenson up because sometimes I got to back up what I say on here. People are probably tuned in like, yeah, right, Ken. You know Michaela Schiffer. And Tricia, you and I have known her since, before she could drive, just dominating the scene out here in the ski scene. I mean, she was destined for greatness, and here we are seeing her not only break Lindsey Vohn's record, another gal that we've known for so many years here in the Valley, but breaking records. I mean, she's nowhere near done. And, the facts about it, finishing it off, I think this was the last event of the year, and she's got a couple podiums there. She's got more of the gold or the glass globes. I mean, it goes on and on.
She needs more arms. She can barely carry all the hardware that she's bringing home. But yeah, I think, I remember interviewing her about a decade ago where she had just gotten her driver's license and she was winning these races and everything. But, it's going to be just really interesting to see because she's still so young. She just celebrated her 28th birthday. And so she could have a good long career ahead of her. It'll be interesting to see just how many wins she's going to make. I'm sure she'll break 100, and then maybe more beyond that. And pretty healthy, so she's had good fortune with
healthy. Whenever I refer to a woman as a beast, it's a term of endearment. She is an absolute super beast. She's one of the strongest human beings I've ever met.
Yes. And you know what? She will be coming back to the Vail Valley. So early April, I think it's April 2nd, we'll be doing something at Solaris for her. So this will be a nice welcome home. She grew up here. She now has a house in Edwards. She used to live in Eagle Vale. She did train some at Ski and Snowboard Club Vail, and then she went out east and skied at one of the ski academies out there when she was in her teens and a little bit older before making it to the U.S. ski team. And I love how she always credits Simon Marsh. That was her ski and snowboard club Vail instructor, basically coach when she was younger. And even at the Olympics, she would call him out. And think about this, Ken, basically a year ago, February, when we had the Olympics and she didn't have the great results that everyone was expecting. I mean, look how much just within a year, now she's had one of the most successful careers in ski racing history when you think about it, men or women. So really, really kudos to her and a way to turn it around. She had so much negativity and all the remarks that, social media and everything, but, she's proven that she is the best in the world, the best of the best. And she's such a student of the sport, and she works so hard at training. So
yeah,
she deserves all the success.
No matter how successful you are, there's always the online haters and trolls that have nothing better to do than to write nasty messages. Great to see you out in front of the Colorado Ski Museum. I'm sure that we're bound to see a lot of Michaela memorabilia destined there. We're going to check back in with you in just a moment and get to the weather. So great to see you, Tricia. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Did want to wrap up what made headlines today in the Vail Daily. Turning on to page A4. A group of men and women that I always like seeing out there on the mountain, the Ravinos. And whenever I see them in town with their jean jackets and their awesome logo on the back, I like to just give them a shout out. The Ravinos are celebrating 50 years on the mountain. They have been here since 1972 and 73. And if you check out page A4, there's a really cool photo of how you get patched in to this group of great ambassadors, by the way. They're kind of an intimidating looking group, but they're not. They're awesome. They're always kind of encouraging positive attitudes and good vibes on the mountain. The photo is of Evan Hannibal performing a backflip off the feature that we all know as the Whaler up on Vail Mountain. They celebrated 50 years. And another thing that was super cool about that was the fact that Buzz Schlepper, the owner of Buzz's Boots and Boards in the Village, he's 72 years old, and evidently on Friday, he put on a pair of race skis and he hucked the Whaler. I hope I can walk and am still alive at 72 years old. Way to go, Buzz. Also making headlines today on page A18, Tess Johnson ends the season on the podium. This is great news. She had her best result for the 2022-23 season on Friday, finishing third overall in the individual moguls taking place in Kazakhstan. She's also a longtime local. You can find all of this and plenty more in the Vail Daily. It is a great newspaper around our area, you just find a blue newspaper dispenser, pick it up, grab it, make sure that you recycle it. But if you don't have the ability, you can find them online at any time and actually read their newspaper at vaildaily.com. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go back to Tricia Swenson. As she's out there on the streets, she'll have your weather and mountain report, and we'll have more from our studios here at the Grand Hyatt. Stay with us.
Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery stands for providing the highest quality care to our unique patient population here in the mountains.
I think that what makes us unique is that we really are practicing groundbreaking techniques, yet, we practice it in a small town environment. Our patients are our neighbors, and our kids go to school with their kids.
I think every one of our docs treat their patients like their family. Our goal is to keep you active, doing the things you want to do, and we'll map out a road to success to get you there.
Love is in the air at the outlets at Castle Rock and Silverthorne. And we are going to wow you with some of the fabulous looks that we have to share with you today from J. Crew and Adidas. Let's take a look. Here's Rachel in J. Crew. I love her navy preppy blazer with striped lining, striped pink tee, amazing white jeans, white sneakers, and gorgeous pink ribbon earrings. With her savings card booklet, it'll be $197, saving $316. Here's Enza in J. Crew Kids with her denim jean jacket, her heart filigree tee, sweetheart leggings, heart necklace, and her white slip-on tennis shoes. Full outfit $101 with her savings card booklet. Wow, Liv, you look amazing in J. Crew sportswear line. From her fabulous striped button top, pink leggings, fleece jacket, pearlized headband, fingerless gloves, and her amazing tennis shoes with the pink and copper colors, all from the internet return. Her outfit to $145 outlet, fabulous. Kate is in Adidas in her pink hoodie, pastel leggings, black tote, and her white and pink running shoes. Her whole outfit would come to $138. Okay, Rachel, you look fabulous in your amazing full-length bubble coat from Guess. You've got your fabulous hoodie with the faux fur, and look at those adorable pearl gold shades. Whole outfit with the shades, $138. Here's Kate in Adidas with this black cropped jacket, $42. It's 40% off of their jackets. Here's Liv. She's in Guess in the most amazing puffer jacket with fleece detailing inside the hood. Love the black belt and the sunglasses. Jacket reduced to $65. And her shades are only $45 from $90. Love is in the air at the outlets at Castle Rock and Silverthorne. And just a reminder, be sure and pick up your savings card booklet at the outlets at Castle Rock in the food court, at customer service, and the outlets at Silverthorne at the Colorado Welcome Center. Love is in the air, and so are the discounts that you're going to find in the savings book. See you soon.
How cool is that time lapse? That's the past 24 hours showing what it looked like yesterday. Beautiful sunny skies. Today's going to be a bit different. We're going to find out in just a moment with Tricia Swenson, but you can find that time lapse online at vail.com. Before we go out there for the weather, though, one thing I didn't get to in the Vail Daily is their time machine reports. And I always like to look back on these. I've personally been here for just over 30 years, and to test my memory, to see if I'm going senile, I like to read some of these stories and see if I can actually remember them. And there's one that popped up today that I can remember, and if you can remember it, get on our chat and share it. And that was the massive snowstorm that was here in 2003. I can't believe it was 20 years ago. And if you were here in the valley, it shut the valley down. It actually shut I-70 down. When they say, oh, Vail Pass is closed or the tunnel, no, this was like a 3-day stoppage because of a massive avalanche that went across I-70 near Eisenhower Tunnel. And Tricia, I'm curious, do you remember that thing? I mean, that was like the biggest storm I can remember.
It definitely was. And you know what, Ken? Do you remember the American Ski Classic? That event that was held over at Golden Peak would bring in a lot of former World Cup ski racers and some celebrities.
And celebrity Ian Ziering, whatever his name is. From Beverly Hills 90210.
People from like Saved by the Bell and,
sure.
Hannah Montana's dad, all those people would come out for it. But I remember that event, and they couldn't get the food up here. They couldn't get the catering. The Wendy's ran out of food. The gas station ran out of gas. Like, it definitely paralyzed the
Yeah,
area.
it was
If
crazy.
you were here.
Well, I was going to say, I
Yeah.
actually, right when they reopened it, at that time I had a limousine service. I would drive people back and forth to Denver, and people couldn't get out for days on end. And I was one of the first vehicles that day that they reopened so that you could go through. And they literally cut like a tunnel through the avalanche. So when you drove through this, you drove through a cross section of a 20-foot tall avalanche. You could see the rocks and the logs where they had saw it. I mean, it was absolutely bizarre. It was a huge amount of snow and a significant weather event.
Yes, it definitely was. And just the fact that Denver got so much snow as well, measured in feet down at that elevation was pretty crazy. And, schools, colleges, classes being canceled and just not being able to get in and out of the airport. So, yeah, I can't believe that was 20 years ago this week. That's
I was going to say,
amazing.
before I get to my next question for you, which I'll even tell you is, are we going to see a storm like that coming up? But if you recall, Denver at that time was under a massive drought, right? They said it would take like a decade to catch up on the amount of moisture they needed to fill their reservoirs. And it happened in one storm. They had like 8 feet of snow or something. And I can remember going down there, getting off, kind of in the Golden area. And you had to creep up to stop signs because you, even in a big vehicle, an SUV, you couldn't see around or over the snowbanks. So you had to kind of creep out and look around them. And it actually brought them out of the drought in just one storm. So 8 feet of snow in this one, Tricia?
You know what? I don't know. I believe it when I ski it. That's always my quote. But, we are going to see that winter weather advisory go into effect 9 p.m. Tuesday night to midnight Wednesday night. We'll have a little bit of snow today, not much accumulation. That'll start a little bit later on this afternoon and stuff like that. But yeah, the bulk of this storm is going to be more midweek, which has kind of been a big pattern that we've had this whole winter, these midweek storms. And Ken, I must say, happy spring, because it is the first day of spring today, the vernal equinox, the spring equinox happening today. And then we'll have the, first day of summer coming up around the third week of June. So we're really seeing kind of a change in the weather. And these spring storms can be, they can really drop a lot of moisture in the form of mountain snow, valley rain. So we could see maybe a little combination of that if you're going down valley.
Well,
A little
Tricia,
bit warmer down there.
when I showed up to the studio this morning here at the Grand Hyatt, Ty Diaz left me a note and a gift, which I'm going to open up. And anyone that's known us for so many years recalls that when we were at Channel 8 doing, I'll just mention them quickly, Good Morning Vail, you and I together for like 17 years, I had what was called the Magic Doppler 8000. And I had my weather tower, if you remember that, and I had an 8-ball, and once a day we would do our weather prediction by way of the 8-ball. And even all these years later, and the few brain cells I have left, I can still remember how to do this. And I don't know if you can do it along with me, Tricia, but I think this is the first time that we should use this on the program. You ready for this? Magic Doppler 8000 cutting edge weather technology created in my garage down in Gypsum, aka Get Some, Colorado. Will we see 17 inches of snow in the next week? Oh, typical Colorado response. Reply hazy, bro. Try again. All right. So even the Doppler 8000 is not so sure. Tricia, great to see you. Where are we going to find you next?
Well, you know what? Hey, the reason I stopped here is I just want to let people know that we have some fun things happening pretty much every afternoon of the week. So on Mondays and Thursdays, we have the silent disco. Okay, so on Mondays from 4 to 7 p.m., you're going to find this at the Vail International Bridge. And then at Thursdays, it'll be over in Lion's Head by the bus stop. And then we've got the art workshops, and that's on Tuesdays, 3:30 to 5. And that's going to be in the Colorado Snow Sports Museum. And then live music, Wednesdays, all the way through Sundays, or Wednesdays, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We've got that going on from 3 to 6, either here in Vail Village by the International Bridge or over by the Lions Head bus stop. They'll have DJs, they'll have performers, maybe a duo or a solo playing some music. So it's just awesome that we've got this going on. And this is going to be all the way through April 2nd. So
I'm just humoring
from
myself.
now all the way until April 2nd.
This is what you see at a silent disco. People with headphones on.
Yeah.
If you've never seen one, you don't hear the music. It's only them. So it's just somebody just dancing with somebody else. And sometimes they'll play different music in different headsets. So somebody's dancing to like techno country. By the way, Hannah Montana's dad, Billy Ray Cyrus. And other people are dancing to like full on Metallica. There's no telling. So that sounds like a fun one. Trisha, I've eaten crow many times. I've never actually learned how to speak crow. I can hear the crows and the magpies down there. It is definitely spring. There's other birds that are in abundance, but they're the loudest this morning.
Pigeons.
The pigeons
There's
are back.
pigeons over here. You know what? They're always right here between the little coffee shop and the creek. That's where they live, but they're always there.
I wonder if it'll ever make the time machine. Back when you and I were at that other television network, there was a memo that went out that you weren't supposed to feed the pigeons in Lion's Head. So what did I do? I made the bird feeder helmet. Do you remember that? And then I got in trouble. I actually made a helmet that had bird feeders on it. And it was when GoPros were getting popular and the birds would come eat off my helmet. Someone took a photo. They sent it to the authorities and I got a memo to stop feeding the pigeons. All right, Trisha, I'm going to let you go run around. Great to see you again this morning. She's down there live in Vail Village for Vail Valley Live. But right now, I mentioned it during our Vail Daily update. I wanted to draw more attention to Tess Johnson. She's a local here. She is a phenomenon in moguls. Here's a bit more to learn about this soon-to-be legendary local.
Hi, I'm Tess Johnson. I was born and raised in Vail, Colorado, and we're here at Yeti's Grind in Vail. I'm a U.S. ski team member, World Cup skier on the FIS Freestyle Tour. I'm drinking a chocolate mint latte. Growing up in Vail was a really special experience. I think I am who I am because of this valley and the people in it, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am in the ski industry if I wasn't on skis at 2 years old in Beaver Creek. So I credit Vail and this entire community for where I am today.
Tess Johnson, and we are ready at the top.
Every step of the way in my ski career and just in my life, I've felt the Vail community right next to me. When I made the Olympics in 2018, it was kind of a surprise. I was the underdog. My family definitely didn't buy plane tickets ahead of time. And when I made it, we had about 10 days for my family to figure out how to get there. And the entire community created GoFundMe to raise money for my family to come all the way to South Korea and watch me compete. I really wouldn't be where I am, so who I am, without this community. I think when I say I'm from Vail, I just feel so much pride. So I started mogul skiing when I was 9 years old. My neighbors down the street were a part of the bump program here in Vail, and we skied highline on Chair 9 10 times. It was 10 on 10, and I remember thinking it was just the most awesome thing of all time. I told my mom, I was like, I think bumps is kind of my calling, and she signed me up for bumps and jumps, and I never looked back. I think that first day on Chair 10 really started my passion for the sport, and I love going back there over Christmas and whenever I can to kind of reignite that passion and just remember why I do this sport. I think 2 accomplishments in my career stand out to me the most. The first one would be becoming an Olympian in 2018. That was always one of my biggest dreams in this sport, and to do it at 17 years old with my whole family there in Korea was just magical. And the second one would be my team's World Cup sweep in Deer Valley, Utah in 2021. My teammate Kai Owens and Hannah Soar and I swept the podium for the first time in history, and that was just unreal to do on home soil in front of our family and friends. To all be holding the American flag together on that podium was really so special. Words can't really describe how I felt in that moment. The advice I would give my younger self would be to remember why I ski. And I think that that has helped me a ton in the tougher moments in my career. My passion for mogul skiing was born with friends on Vail Mountain, and I think all of that helps me get through some of the tougher times in which I get a little bit too wrapped up in the outcome and the results. And I think if I can remember why I do it a little bit more often, I'll be just fine. Once again, I'm Tess Johnson. This has been the Yeti's Grind Coffee Chat.
As we mentioned so many times on our program, that we are located in the Grand Hyatt in Vail, and we love being here. We can't even tell you enough how much it's fantastic just to be in our studios here, but to pull up every day. They have the most incredible, friendly staff, and we just wanted to share with you, before I show you my very basic way of showing you our studio, of what it's like here at the Grand Hyatt. They have their own chairlift over here, so you can walk right out the back, and that's typically what I do when I walk into a hotel, is just throw my hands over my head, just like Meredith there, and celebrate. There's Scott. There's the construction of our studio here, but the Grand Hyatt is awesome. They have tons of amenities. They do a lot of groups during the summer months specifically. They are right on Gore Creek, so if you like watching whitewater rafting or kayaking, or if you're an avid fly fisherman, or if you just like to take in the sights of Gore Creek, you can cruise along the back path and find just a ton of activities. And it's only about a half a mile off from Lion's Head. They have a courtesy shuttle that takes you back and forth between the Grand Hyatt and the Village, but if you decided to walk, it's not that bad. And then this is what I put together for you this morning. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. There's our studio and our lights and my monitor. That's what I'm looking at. And then we look out right on the main driveway here. So we love being here. Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking at a camera and a monitor and basically winging it. Wouldn't you say that, Rachel? Yeah, just kind of winging it every morning. I'm not going to wing the weather, though. We've got the facts. We asked the Doppler 8000. It had no idea what's going to happen. So let's check and see what the official forecast is before we take it back out to Tricia Swenson. She's going to be talking about tuning coming up and getting your skis and snowboard ready for the season, and also the changing of the season, which we could see right now, kind of spring-like conditions, overcast, low light. They've had 6 inches of snow on Vail Mountain in the past 7 days, bringing their season total to 297 inches. One thing that we always wonder, it's kind of the bar on where we're at for the season, and that is, do we reach 300 inches or 350 inches for the season? I'd have to guess that this next storm, that they're forecasting double digits between now and the next 5 days, and potentially 2 feet in the next 10 days for Vail and Beaver Creek, somewhere in that vicinity. So we'll see. I feel this year that we've seen forecasts that show maybe 2 to 3 inches, and we'll end up getting like 10. So most of the time it's been on the low side. That's at least from what I've seen so far. But we're excited to have snow in the forecast. Drive carefully. One thing I want to advise people on is the roads, and not necessarily icy snowpack condition, but straight up guerrilla warfare driving over Vail Pass. Rachel, have you driven over Vail Pass lately?
I'm driving over Vail Pass tomorrow, Ken, and I'm hoping that this storm doesn't catch me over there.
The thing that'll catch you, you honestly have to be aware, and you guys can chime in, are the potholes. They are as though landmines went off on Vail Pass. Like, I'm not even joking. There are some monsters in there. So just be aware. I-70 has certainly gotten chipped up this season with all the foul weather, and I'm sure they're going to be doing a whole lot of work this spring. Just be aware. Trust me, you're going to drive if you haven't done it in a while, or if you have, you can chime in on the chat, and you're going to be like, yeah, it is gnarly. So just use caution out there cruising along I-70 until they get those fixed up. And I'll ask Tricia Swenson before we take it out to her. I think she's going to talk about tuning. Tricia, have you done the drive? Have you had the pothole slalom on I-70 over the pass lately?
You know what? I've not driven over the pass since February when I had to go to DIA to fly out. But yeah, I know what you mean about those potholes. And even just on the valley floor, there's a few on Highway 6 that you got to watch out for. Right by Agave and the parking lots for Beaver Creek, the base, that stoplight there, man, you start going east and there's a pothole that, especially if there's a lot of water kind of pooling in a big old puddle, you don't see the pothole, but you'll feel it. So yeah, be careful for those. But again, yeah, I thought I would talk a little bit about what we're thinking about with spring tuning. And I'm at the backside in Los Amigos Adventure Sports, and they have a little example of skis, one that's tuned and then one that's not tuned. And you can kind of see just how dry this is. They got a core shot here as well, and just lots of nicks and scratches compared to how smooth and nice this is. So kind of a before and after. And when we start to see the temperatures, pretty cool in the morning and then warm up into the 40s in the afternoon, and then overnight it freezes again, it's what's called a freeze-thaw cycle. And what that does is cause, the snow just to really change consistency in a matter of hours. You'll go from kind of hard pack, crunchy in the morning to what we call corn snow and even mashed potato snow by the afternoon. But that snow is very moisture laden and very granular. So what that does is any wax that you've got on your ski, well, it's just gonna get scraped off a little bit quicker with all those granules. So it's good to have a spring wax because, Ken, when you're going down on the catwalk and then maybe there's some shade and you start to speed up, and then the minute you go back into the sunny parts of it, it's almost like someone put the brakes on and your skis just want to stop and your body just keeps wanting to go forward. So what we want to remind you to do is, make sure you keep on top of the tuning, the waxing of your skis and snowboards, because it's kind of a safety issue as well, just going to keep you safer out there.
Well, Tricia, anybody that caught that interview recognized that I handled that just like my wife. Although I couldn't hear a word you said, I smiled and waved and pretended that I did. But I know what you were talking about, and that is that it's important to get tunes because especially the sticky stuff, as you can kind of ski along and get hung up, it's super bad on your knees. And by the way, Venture Sports, Mike Broombaugh and his crew, they do a great job, not only of tuning your stuff, but also with rentals. So stop by and see them. We're going to take a quick break. We've also got some great information if you're looking to help keep yourself healthy here in the high country, whether it be with blood flow, stretching, or just day-to-day life. Here's more.
Hi, I'm Sean Juarez. I'm a doctor of physical therapy with Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, here to answer some live audience questions for Vail Valley Live. What is blood flow restriction therapy and how is it beneficial? So blood flow restriction therapy has to do with using some type of tourniquet on the arms or legs in order to restrict blood flow to the area, and then you're performing exercises with it. What we found is that with research, you can do a lot lower loads of exercise and lower intensity and get the same benefits as far as your hypertrophy and strength within the muscle. So that's kind of the best part about it, is that you don't have to use high weights and higher intensities. When do I need to see a physical therapist? And do I need to go to a doctor first? So with this question, it's a little bit variable. If you are visiting into the Valley and you want to do just cash pay, you can come in to see us without seeing a doctor first. If you are trying to use insurance, it depends on the type of insurance that you have, whether or not that you need to use a referral in order to come and see us. If you're curious as to what to do with your insurance provider, the best case is to contact them to see if you do need a referral in order to come into physical therapy or not. Next question, how important is stretching really? Well, really, it's not that important. What I would say is before you go on the mountain and before you're skiing or snowboarding, the best thing to do is called a dynamic warm-up, where you are doing movement therapy and movement exercises in order to get your muscles ready When you get done skiing, then you can do more static stretches, and that can help loosen up the muscles after you're done. What are some tips to avoid injury on the hill? Majority of the injuries that happen on the hill typically come when there are a lot of people on the hill. So the best case scenario is to try to avoid areas where there's big crowds. If you can get yourself nice and strong before the ski season, specifically in the quads and the glutes, then that also can help prevent some of the non-contact injuries. But overall, if you can avoid big crowds on the mountain, that's the best way to avoid injury. What are the benefits of dry needling? Does it hurt? So there's a lot of research that's been done with dry needling. Dry needling is using acupuncture needles in order to go into the muscles, so we're using a more westernized approach for it. What we found is that it helps with muscle relaxation, it helps bring blood flow to the area. It can also help stimulate a lot of the motor neurons, so then the muscles actually start firing better. As far as if it hurts, majority of the time it does not hurt. However, there are certain nerves and the venous system where you can't always avoid that, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable, but if we can avoid those, then it typically does not hurt. Thank you for your questions. This is Sean Juarez with Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery with Ask a Doc from Vail Valley Live. See you on the slopes.
We believe in the power of a live performance. We believe in making memories together. Join us as we celebrate 25 years of making moments that last a lifetime. Bringing concerts, comedy, Broadway, classical, dance, and family entertainment in the heart of the Rocky Mountains in Beaver Creek Village. View the full lineup and get tickets today at villarpack.org.
Moet Vending for life's spontaneous, festive moments. Celebrate at the Grand Hyatt Vail.
Welcome to Nap Harvest. We are showcasing healthy habits, and you can start right here feeding your family healthy organic vegetables and fruits that are seasonal and local. They're all the way from Arizona with our wonderful, beautiful citrus fruits that we sneak across the border for. But don't forget our nap mushrooms, grown at 9,000 feet. Mushrooms are chock full of benefits for you. And then also the microgreens, also chock full of vitamins. Come see us at Nap Harvest in Eagle Ranch on Sylvan Lake Road next to Color Coffee. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 4.
I dig those live cams. It's fun to reminisce 24 hours in the past, check out the sunshine, and be like, it's probably not going to be like that today. This is a look up at McCoy Park. This is such a fantastic area on Beaver Creek. It's one of my favorites, especially as my kids were growing up, both Hunter and River. They went to Beaver Creek Ski and Snowboard School, you know, from the time that they could start riding until they were like, we're kind of over it. We want to go do other things. It's just a perfect place for learning. I actually have friends that are in town right now from St. Augustine, Florida. Jen White and her husband, Will, they're up at Bachelor Gulch. They arrived yesterday to this tranquil little area. on Sunday afternoon. And if you have ever been to the Bachelor Gulch Ritz on a Sunday afternoon, it is not a tranquil little area. It's a happening single scene and an all-out rager by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So Jen, Will, if you're watching, I promise today will be a lot more mellow and you can get the kids out there. We're going to take it out to Tricia Swenson. Tricia, have you ever been to the Ritz-Carlton in Bachelor Gulch on a Sunday afternoon during spring break when the weather is nice?
Well, yeah, but I think Saturdays, is when they've got the really amped up kind of Vegas scene. I
All
thought
right.
Sunday was just like an après-ski singer.
It
and
must be both days now because they said it was happening yesterday. So I should warn them. I'll be like, well, just wait till next Saturday. Tricia, real quick though, I just wanted to bring up some of the chat. People are tuning in and checking us out. We'll bring that up. You guys can try. I like that Posey P, the Shark Tank dude. Thanks, man. Murda, I'm not sure. I think that's Haya. So people are chiming in. I really wanted to talk to people more about, I like this. David Hale, have you seen the interview done by her boyfriend Kilday? It's a classic. Did you see that? When Michaela won and she was up there, in the Audi seat just as the queen, they get interviewed. Her boyfriend, I'm sure it's going to be husband at some point, decided that he would do the interview. Did you see this? How awkward would that be?
No, I didn't see that. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, he did the interview. He did a great job on it, by the way. And this is for any aspiring interviewer. All you have to think in your head, who, what, when, where, and how. If you ask a question along those lines, you're going to get an answer. And he went right through it, so it was pretty cool. Tricia, great stuff on the ski tuning. I couldn't hear a whole lot of it as things had fallen apart on my end. But what you did say, what I did catch was important because the conditions have changed, and they're going to change a little bit more in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and you know what? It was very cool over the weekend. So we pretty much still had winter snow and probably the cold weather wax. But I think going forward, and now that we're going to see the longer daylight hours, Vail has changed their hours, closing at 4 o'clock on the front side of the mountain. That was as of last Friday. So, but during the springtime, we just definitely see that snow change consistency a bit more so on the sunny days as well. And like I said, I don't think we're going to see too much of that change. I don't think it get warm enough today, but just something to be aware of, to put that on your calendar. Like, okay, I got to get the skis tuned at some point and get some of that warm weather wax on there. Hey, but Ken, I thought I would take it over here to the top of Bridge Street and show people, the Red Lion, the Final Four, and then all the basketball tournaments leading up to the Final Four happening. My bracket is shattered because the KU Jayhawks did lose on Saturday. I had them going all the way, so I'm out of it. I'll have a lot more free time in the next couple of weeks where I won't be watching basketball. But if you are wanting to catch some of the games, we've got so many great places that you can just stop right slopeside. Los Amigos has a few TVs. Over in Lionshead, you've got the Vail Chop House, also Garfinkel's in Beaver Creek. You've got the Sea Bar and Dusty Boot and the Coyote Cafe. Those could be great places with some sports bar atmosphere and the TVs. So I just thought I would kind of show you. And of course, the Red Lion, the original and pretty much the first bar in Vail, built back in the early 60s by Larry Bird.
That's an area I often refer to as Bad Idea Avenue, especially if you've been skiing all day, you went to the après, and you find yourself still in your ski boots at 10:30 at night, playing air guitar on your leg, dancing on a table. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's what it's all about. Sometimes the après is more legendary than the skiing.
Yeah, Tricia, I wanted to get to this because we got only a few more minutes left in the program. I'm excited to share this with people. As I've been watching folks walk behind you, there was a woman earlier. You didn't see her. She had the most fantastic boots that I recognized from the movie Dumb and Dumber years ago. You are a fashionista, and we see a lot of different fashions up here on the mountain. To my understanding, Rachel's told me we have a segment that we're going to drop on everyone. It's about your closet.
Oh, yeah. I'm helping you figure out what to wear on the slopes.
Hey everyone, I'm Tricia Swenson with Vail Valley Live, and we're here in my closet giving you some tips on what to and what not to wear out on the slopes. Let's start with the basics, base layers. I got 2 words for you, cotton kills. So That favorite comfy sweatshirt you lounge around in a home is not going to wick away the moisture. It's going to keep you cold and clammy all day long. You'll want to go with fabrics that'll wick moisture away from your body so you'll stay warm and dry. Try brands like Smartwool, Icebreaker, Helly Hansen, Crimson Clover. Look for something that is antimicrobial too, which means that it takes care of the smell, which also translates into happier noses around you and less time doing laundry. Now that we're in the base layers, next up is your insulating layer. And this will depend on just how warm it is going to be that day. You might want a fleece like this one from Spider with a quarter neck zip. You may want a sweater from Smartwool, or you may want a fun little decorative piece like this one from Crimson Clover with the little gal on here. Whatever you choose, think about what you're going to be doing that day. If you're going to be just cruising, layer up. If you're doing moguls or skiing really hard, riding really hard, shed a layer. Up next, outer layers, and this is your ski or snowboard jacket, the pants to go with it, and it really depends on what the weather's going to be like that day. On a warmer day, I will probably go with more of a shell. A soft shell will be perfect, like this one from Dina Fit, or if it's a little bit cooler, I like insulated pants like this one and a down jacket, and this is from Skea. But if you are wearing down, I'll sometimes combine that with a windstopper layer, because sometimes the down doesn't stop the wind. So this is a good one from Mountain Hardwear with windstopper on it, and probably anything from Gore is gonna work too. But we cannot forget about the most important part. This is your feet. You do not need to wear 2 socks. Just one pair of thin socks is what works best. There are lots of great brands out there these days, like Smartwool, Fit, Darn Tough, Wigwam, that are thin and made out of moisture-wicking fabric and are antimicrobial. So once again, you won't stink. Gloves or mittens? It's really just personal preference. But whatever you do, I would invest in a good pair of gloves that maybe have some Gore-Tex in them, because you don't realize how much your hands sweat, and that perspiration needs to work its way out of the glove or the mitten. And Gore-Tex does a great job of keeping the elements, maybe the snow, the rain, out while letting your perspiration escape. And if your hands get really cold, maybe just get a pair of these. These are hand warmers that'll fit in your gloves and mittens. And if you really suffer from cold hands, invest in some heated gloves. Want to stay warm on the really cold days? Here's what you need. A balaclava, not baklava. That's the layered pastry dessert from the Ottoman Empire. You're going to want this. This is part neck gaiter, part hat, and it's thin enough that it fits below the helmet. Now, if you've got your hat that's chunky threads, it's got a palm on it, all that kind of stuff, your helmet is not gonna fit properly. So you wanna make sure that you wear something thin underneath the helmet. And speaking of helmets, this is not a graduation cap, so it doesn't fit back here. You want it to fit right above the eyebrows, and then cinch it up, make sure you're strapped in and ready to go. Now that you have your helmet, you got to think about the goggles. And you want a goggle that's going to fit nice and snug up to the brim of the helmet. You don't want that gaper gap right between your forehead, gets that ice cream headache. So if you're buying one or the other, bring your helmet into the goggle shop or your goggles into the helmet shop so you can make sure they fit together. And when you are buying goggles, get a pair that has the exchangeable lenses. This comes with a dark lens for the sunny days and a light lens for the cloudy days. Really easy to exchange that on the fly. And finally, pack a hat in the backpack or your pocket, because we all know you're gonna get helmet hair. So try this one, cute one with this palm from Ski Girl. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go. This Weather and Mountain Report is brought to you by Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, keeping you active.
Welcome back to Vail Valley Live. We will get to the weather in just a moment, but I have a very pressing issue. Rachel, if we could, let's bring up Tricia Swenson. I love that dressing segment. You are just the cutest thing ever. And that information is valuable. I mean, let's face it. Some people show up, they have Jordache jeans on. They don't know what they're doing. Trisha, but I feel like you lied to our viewers. And if we could, Rachel, I did a quick screen grab of your closet, Trisha. Okay. And we're going to bring that up. And I want to talk to you about your closet for a moment. First of all, the empty shelf. There is no way that you have an empty shelf in your closet, right? Come on.
Well, I know. You know what? We had to kind of clean some things up just to have some room to put the helmets and everything. So,
and then there's the other thing. I feel like that's just like one closet, right? I mean, I've known you for almost 30 years. I've never seen you wear the same outfit twice. Like this, what closet is this? The closet in your entryway, and then there's the vault closet, and then there's the living room closet. Come on.
Okay, you know what? I have I have a whole other closet.
I knew it.
And my husband has like this many shirts in it, and he doesn't have much space in my closets. But
I knew this. I'm sorry, Trisha. I love that segment though. I think it's super fun. You look great, layering. And by the way, mittens or gloves. Mittens, I love them. Fingers get to have a party in there and keep warm. I wanted to talk to you. Actually, I'll send it out to you. We do have a weather and mountain update. You're out there on the front lines. How is the weather looking for today?
You know what? I mean, it's very mild. Like there's really no wind right now. Temperatures just in the low 20s here on the valley floor. But keep in mind, for every 1,000 feet that you travel upwards, the temperature drops 3 to 4 degrees. So when you start out at about 8,100, go up to 11,000, it's going to be a couple degrees cooler on there. So sometimes when you're in the parking lot, you're like, oh, it's so hot, I don't need this. But you're going to want to have, wintry layers. It's only going to be into the mid 30s today. So we're gonna see that out there. And up on the mountain already, it's about 15 degrees out there. So just layer up. We're not going to really see the yesterday. But it won't be as cold as it was, let's say Saturday morning. That was a very chilly start to the day. So we're starting out a little bit warmer. We've got the, a few people in the maze here waiting to get it started. Hi, everybody. They've been waving. Spring break is going on right now. So I want to welcome all those folks that are here that chose Vail and Beaver Creek for their spring break destination.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to stress to people, and you're standing right in front of the sign, play it safe, play it all season. People can get carried away out there and kind of throw safety in the back seat, and it's not the time to do it. There are a lot of families here. There are a lot of kids. There's definitely some folks that are new to it. There is kind of a priority in skiing. The uphill skier doesn't have the right of way. It's the downhill skier. Just like little things like that you want to be safe. And for me personally, as I mentioned, my kids, when they were little, riding over at Beaver Creek, there are a lot of little kids out there, and little kids are like having a college roommate tripping on mushrooms. They make really bad decisions erratically and spontaneously. I know that's a crazy analogy, but all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's go left. You have to be aware of the kids out there on the slope. Slow it down around them.
Yeah, definitely. And on the catwalks at the end of the day, there's different ways to get off the mountain, that are they're less busy. So think about that. Or you can always download. Maybe you want to download, Chair 6, Centennial Express. You can also download on gondola number 19, which is the Eagle Bond. And one of my favorite things to do is when you're maybe coming out of the back bowls and you get down to Chair 11. Maybe there's a little bit of a line there or something. What you can do is you can hop on Chair 6 and download it either to the midway point and maybe take Whippersnapper as one last run for you, or you could take it all the way to the bottom. And Golden Peak still has access to Vail Village just via that catwalk. So that's always a good option for you too.
Yeah, and the other thing too is don't press yourself. If you end up, let's say in Lion's Head and you want it to be in the village, don't push it and have to go back up. There is the free in-town bus that you can jump on over there. That'll take you over. And Rachel, if you wouldn't mind, we could bring up the warnings or kind of the educational stuff for the Yellow Jackets and whatnot, and just anywhere. There's a couple of great ones that I like in here. I like how they rewrote these, especially at the bottom. Show off your skill by showing off your turns. No straight lining, meaning that you just push it, create your own space, spatial awareness. I always like to tell people, keep your head on a swivel, be looking around. And also another one, people can get kind of worn out up there, especially on spring break. They might have been out a little bit late at the Red Lion, and we call it the bottle flu. Make sure that you fuel your adventure properly, avoid fatigue, drink proper fluids as well as the libations, and get a good bite to eat. Tricia, before we wrapped it up, great to see you this morning, by the way. I wanted to ask, what's the light like this morning? What kind of goggles and what lens would you recommend for today?
And you know what? And I'm seeing a lot of goggles, and happy to see that versus the sunglasses. Yeah, if you have a choice of lenses with your goggles, go with the lighter lens. It is very flat light out there right now, and I don't think we're going to see the sun. And I think we're going to see some snowflakes coming down later on this morning. We're not going to get a ton of accumulation, but just a little bit of that. And another good tip to do when we do have these flat light conditions is stay near the trees, you know, kind of maybe skiing along the edge of the slope. That the trees just kind of give you some definition, help you just suss things out. Not always the best to maybe go in the back bowls where there's not a lot of trees. If you do, you know, try to stick to some of the trees that are back there, or get all the way back to Blue Sky Basin. They have a lot of bladed terrain, and that's going to aid you in seeing a little bit easier on some of these flat light days.
Great information, Tricia. Good to see you. I can tell by the line moving now and hearing the ticket scanning going on. It is 8:30, so it's time to wrap up the program. Good to see you. We'll see you back again later this week. You can catch us each and every day from 7:30 to 8:30 on Vail Valley Live. We broadcast on Outside Television. We also broadcast online on Facebook and YouTube and throughout the Valley. We are the official voice of all things awesome here in the Eagle River Valley, and we appreciate you tuning in. Have an awesome day.